The question has been asked, how do you get a book deal? I'm going to tell you a little bit about my story and a little extra that I heard from my agent specifically. But we have to do the intro. And welcome back to another episode of The Daily Donna with me, your host, Dr. Donna Oriowo. And usually we have those conversations with a therapeutic edge. Today, we're actually going to do a little bit more of a, how-to story time mix thing here. And we're going to talk a little bit about how I got my book deal for Drink Water, Mind Your Business, A Black Woman's Guide to Unlearning the BS and Healing Self-Esteem. So just so that we're clear, this is my second book baby. My first book baby was self-published, right? I was yearning for a book baby, and I decided I was going to have one on my own and went through the process accordingly. Now, if you want to know about that, just say so in the comments and I will provide. Meanwhile, this time around, for anyway, getting into how I got this particular book deal, I'd say that it probably started in an unconventional way. It's weird to say Instagram got me my first book deal, but that's really the starting place, Instagram. So what had happened was a girl has been active on Instagram, posting therapeutic content, talking about sex, sexuality, self-esteem, sexual self-efficacy, all the things, right? Like at that time, I want to say I was even very regularly doing something that I called Sex Tip Tuesday, where I would pick a song and I would talk about a tip that I felt like that song was given, whether or not you picked up what it was putting down. Hey, I was doing my thing in that way. And what happened was I actually received a DM from a publisher who wanted to publish a book that I was not writing. They came to me, they told me exactly what kind of book they were looking for from me, just based off my content and what they had been gently stalking about me. I must say, like a gentle stalking, like someone that does research and then comes to you accordingly. I I kind of like that um, for business. I like that for business. Anyway, they came to me, they gave me they told me what they were looking for, and the timeline and everything else that they had. Now, I will say this also now includes a little bit about how my own business acumen, my own confidence, my own self esteem comes into play here, because I think that originally, it's like you're flattered to have been chosen. And I think that that also goes with like relationships, it goes with friendships, it goes with romantic relationships. The idea that someone looked at you, looked up your work, liked something, saw something, liked something, and reached out to you accordingly, I'm not gonna lie and say it can't be flattering. It can be very flattering to be picked, to be selected. However, I think the part that we get messed up is that we forget that we get to pick too. So I went through the process with them, and they gave me the outline for what they wanted in a book proposal, because I still got to go through the process, right? They need a title for the book. They need to know what I want to talk about. And they were I would say, a more academic publisher. So they were looking for a more academically rigorous book. So I did the proposal. I wrote the first 3 chapters. I was feeling good about what I did there. And I submitted it to them so that they could take it to their powers that be, see if it was actually what they wanted, and come back to me with whatever the deal was going to be. Now, this is the part where the difference between being a pick me and doing some picking for me changed the game a little bit. They came back to me with a number of what they were willing to do. Now, mind you, I would have said yes to that number. I would have said yes because I was just like, well, I didn't have a book deal yesterday and I can have a book deal today. I wasn't looking for a book deal per se. This is I'd already written Cocoa Butter and Hair Grease by that point. So I was just like, well, why not? Well, the why on that, the not on that why not was, but you're not selecting anything. You're just going with what was presented to you. And You don't know if this is even the best deal for you. You don't know if they're the right people for you. Why would you select this? So because I knew myself, I knew that I would have regrets if I just went along to get along, right? And a lot of us, we are go with the flow people. We will go with the flow until it leads to our own freaking demise because we won't say anything. We won't look at anything. We won't choose anything. We simply take the thing that is presented in front of us and we forget that we're allowed to want more, that we're allowed to have questions, that we're allowed to take stock and make choice. I paused. Yes, I had the deal in hand. All I needed to do was sign and return. And I refused to sign and return it. I was just like, something didn't sit right in my spirit. Right. And there was a piece of me that was mostly just like, you're not doing any selecting. What are you doing? So I told them, give me some time to get back to you and I will. And they wanted me and they wanted the work product that I presented to them. So they were willing to wait. During that time, I spoke with a cousin to review the initial contract that I was given. I spoke with a friend who was also in a book writing process at the time. Much bigger name than my name. But she was very integral in helping me to not just accept what I was given. And this is also why I say it's great to have a good tribe. So one of those first calls about this book deal was Dr. Joy Harden Bradford. You may know them from Therapy for Black Girls. So we had a quick phone call. I was just like, this is what I'm getting. This is, and she was just like, I think you should shop around. Like, so, it's like my mama told me, you better shop around. So I shopped around. And I'm really thankful for that because I don't know that I would have just gone with it, but the willingness that she had for me to talk more about her process and what she was going through, that was helpful for me, which is part of the reason that I'm also willing to answer this question of how did I get this book deal? So because of that, I decided, okay, do you have the time? You have to have a resource, right? So you either have to have time, you have to have money, or you need to have another person. And usually having another person means money. So I decided that I was going to find an agent instead and let an agent work this thing out. I don't want to work it out. I can give you the story about how I got my agent. That's something separate as well. Although, I mean, I guess there's not really a story there. They found me, and then I did additional shopping and chose out of the ones that were offered to me. So I repeated the process. Instead of taking the first thing offered to me just because it was offered to me, I went and shopped around. It just so happened that the one that approached me first, that solicited me, who wanted to be a representative of a book that I would write that I did not have written, it just so happened that I liked her best. Out of the ones that I had talked to, lots of friends referred me to their agents or friends or, this person who knew this person who knew that person, right? You use your community, you tap in. So I tapped in and I got tapped into a few agents. And the one that was best for me was the one that actually came to me first. So I then we had a contract that she would represent this book. So I give her the proposal that I had. She read it over, and then it was, we're revamping this proposal. This proposal can be better. This proposal needs to look better. We need to make sure that this book is everything that it could be. And I'm just like, well, they already want it. And she's just like, well, it doesn't matter whether or not they want it. Let's see if they can afford it. I was just like, well, excuse me. Excuse me. It's like I knew it was coming, but I didn't know it was coming. So in working with her, because she has book marketing acumens. That's not my space, right? Like she's an agent. She knows this industry. I'm a therapist. I know that industry. So while she was doing that, I continued to write and rewrite the first couple of chapters. But really, we were working on the proposal at that time. So we completely revamped that proposal. It looked almost nothing like the original. It was very much expanded, very much was telling a story. And it is with that proposal and the same original 3 chapters that I had already written that they took it back to market and they contacted the original people to see if they still wanted it. And they were still on the table, but then the numbers changed. So the original deal that I was offered, I can tell you, I won't give you like the actual numbers, but I'll give you roundabout numbers, right? The first deal that I was offered was something around, it was four figures, right? So 1 comma 3 numbers after, one number before, simple four figure. I was happy with that deal. I was satisfied, generally speaking. Because I would have, as I was saying at the time, I would have wrote that book for free, right? Like, because I'm so deeply entrenched in the therapy space sometimes, and particularly the toxic side of the therapy space that says that you should be willing to give of yourself regardless of what, and that don't charge too much, and don't, the things with all the rules about what makes a good therapist. And a good therapist is one that is willing to give additional stuff. Now, at that time, I'll say that if a client needed additional work, I would create a workbook. I would create some worksheets, and I would give them those worksheets to do their work from. That's actually how the first book, Cocoa Butter and Hair Grease, got became a book, because there were a bunch of worksheets that I had already created for a specific client to be able to do some work around colorism and textures. So, I mean, circling back here, so she took this thing. The original deal was a four-figure deal. I was generally satisfied with said deal. It wasn't a particularly large deal, but it was satisfactory to me because I was just like, oh, I'm getting money to be paid to do something that I would have done anyway. Right now that the thing is in my head, and now that I know that I want the thing, of course, I'd be willing to take that money to do this thing. It's not a biggie deal on a ready stick. Well, when the book went to market, the highest deal was a 5-figure deal. And I was just like, oh, I'm not taking 4 figures when there's 5 figures on the table. Now, I did not take the highest 5-figure deal. And though the number did not start with a one, right? For the highest deal, it didn't start with the number one. It started above three, below seven. Somewhere in there. I won't tell you that number. But I didn't take that deal. I took a deal below that deal because I felt like it had more of what I wanted. And one of the highest deals felt like I would have been the black experiment. Like they never had one, and I would have been the first. And I was just like, ugh. And then, I also look at the roster of books, and I'm just like, would you want to read their books? If the answer is no, then the answer is no. Right. I think there's some things to be said about being the unicorn somewhere, but um, I find that a lot of book industry is gate kept in many ways by white folk, which means that as a person of color, as a black woman, I don't need to cause myself any additional strife by being your first. So I wasn't interested in being the first. So the way I got my book deal is that I was actually approached first. Now, how you could get your book deal, that's different stuff. If you are interested in writing a book, you have options. You can traditionally publish, which Drink Water, Mind Your Business is a traditionally published book, or you can self publish. You can't see it, it's up there, but Cocoa Butter Hair Grease was my self published baby. Um, so you have options. Now, if you're choosing to go traditionally published, that means that you're going to need a proposal. You don't need an agent, but that means if you don't have an agent, you must have time and you must have some level of acumen. You got to know a little bit about what you're doing, but you don't require an agent. I think that an agent simply knows who they can reach out to. They can set up the meetings for you so you don't have to set them up yourself. They will negotiate certain terms, all things that you technically could do. I wasn't doing that thing. I was doing therapy. So, that is how I got my book deal. Now, if you are watching this video and you have a book deal, tell me a little bit about how you got yours in the comments below. And tell me also whether or not you're low key, high key trying to write a little bookie book, and whether or not you're trying to find your book deal. Anyway, that was the conversation about how I got mine. Please do feel free to ask any other questions. This was an interesting one to sort of be in, sit in, and answer. And honestly, I have a bunch of questions that I have been asked during the time where I was doing book tours and all that other stuff that I think would be interesting to also answer here. Now, the therapeutic edge in this conversation is this: do not get caught up in someone picking you that you forget to pick back. That is what I'm saying. Know who you are, self concept. Esteem who you are, self esteem. Have have and display your confidence, your competence. Like, learn what you need to learn about whatever it is that is being offered to you so that you can make an informed decision. An informed decision means that you have enough information to be able to choose something for yourself. If you get one offer, you don't have enough information to choose from. Now, if you know what the book deal is and your deal is above average, you might be a little bit more informed. If it doesn't matter, or you like the roster, or you like whatever it is that you're liking about whatever offer or deal or whatever that somebody is offering you, it's cool. I know that it's beautiful to be chose in some way, shape, or form. And it is also okay to shop around. I would say that when someone is offering you something and then they time the deal in such a way where you don't even have time to think, I wonder about coercion. That's me personally, but you go on and do what you do. I just wanted to make sure that I offered that. So don't be out here talking about some pick me, choose me, love me. Okay, but you got to pick back. You also get a choice here. You also get to determine what works for you. And you also get space to negotiate. Being grateful and the idea of being grateful often tricks us right out of our choices. Be grateful and still choose. Be grateful and still say what the limitations are. Be grateful and set boundaries. Be grateful and communicate what you would prefer. That is the therapeutic edge in this conversation. This is the Daily Donna. I am Dr. Donna, and I will see you in tomorrow for another episode of the Daily Donna.